Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's me, Irvin, with another manga chapter review. This is going to be on the first chapter of Shoten. It is a series that's releasing currently in Shonen Jump. One chapter out as of right now, and it is actually 2 chapters out as of right now, a time of recording, and they're actually not that bad. I've read the first chapter. The second chapter, haven't gotten myself into it, but I think I will actually do a review for you guys, and it's actually a better story than I expected. Now, going in, I kind of read a little bit of synopsis, which was a comedy based series, and Shonen Jump doesn't have the best track sometimes with comedy. You know, they have a good track with Shonen, obviously, and with action and sometimes even horror, but comedy sometimes they do either really well or they do really bad. This one kind of was a little bit in between, and I'll explain why I say that. And before anything though, if you have not done so by now, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I am hoping to make a video finally in my what's gonna be future room. That way you guys can see the room slowly but surely get itself built in the background. But hopefully I'll be able to do a video today for you guys, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to finally get back into an actual room and not just a minivan. So anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel. We are trying to reach 4,700. I know you guys can get me there, and I know you guys can do wonders. So for those who are hoping for a giveaway, I am trying my best to start a giveaway on November 15th. I don't have any promises right now for it though, but I will try my best to have one out around that time. Any further help that you guys can do would be commenting, liking, and sharing this video, and that just helps tremendously. So again, Shoten, the series, it's a weird name. It's starting in Shonen Jump, and it has 2 chapters out. They released them very close to each other, and then they kind of went on a hiatus for about 2 weeks, and I think either next week or the following week they'll be posting the 3rd chapter, and I think Shonen Jump is actually going to release more new series, if I'm not mistaken, in the next few days as well. So many new things coming, and it's great because I can get back on the groove on reacting and reviewing for you guys here on this channel. This series itself follows a protagonist who at a young age he falls in love with this girl, and the girl has to move for whatever reason, and she really wants him to make him laugh before she leaves, and he's not able to. He is not able to make her laugh on command, which, you know, most guys can't either. But that kind of it falls on him, and he feels guilty about it so much that he basically revolves his entire life then forward in trying to make himself the most funniest person. Now, what ends up happening years later is that he becomes a person that sends in jokes into a show, and they read his jokes and people love it, but he hides behind a pen. So we meet our second protagonist very later on in the chapter, who essentially is someone who's going to be part of the big show that the student council is throwing, and he's the big act, and everyone knows that he's weird, but they don't know what he's going to be about. They don't want it to be a disaster, so they send our protagonist to the second protagonist to kind of ask him, hey, we need more concrete information on what you're going to be doing in the show, that way we know that it's going to be successful. It all happens that he's looking for a partner, and our protagonist is kind of eventually forced into being his partner by the trickery of our second character, and it's a whole story that I'm skipping through, but essentially that's what happens towards the end of the first chapter, and we then see them perform in front of people, and it ends up being an amazing thing. Now, let's go back on our two characters, because our 2 characters are complete opposites when it comes to comedy. Our first character, who basically grows up to be a comedian behind a pen, obviously is a structure comedian, and by this I mean that he likes to make sure he knows where the punchline is. He likes to structure his jokes in the sense of he writes them and prepares for them and knows when it's gonna happen eventually. And our second character from the series is a little bit of a complete opposite. He is more of an improv character. He likes to make comedy just flow from, you know, the reactions of the audience to what's going on around him. Very, very much improv type of mindset. And again, not a bad thing. If you yourself like to watch comedians, and I love watching comedians on Netflix and other, you know, streaming devices and channels that I like to see comedians on. They do a good job, and there's obviously those that, you know, thought about their stories and they've either lived them or, you know, construct them well enough where it flows well because they've done the same joke for a while and they know what the punchlines are. And then there's those comedians who they like to work with the crowd, and if the crowd is doing a certain thing or if they're in a certain area, they like to work around that and make jokes around that. That way the people in the crowd feel like they're part of the actual show. So both of these characters kind of have these two approaches to comedy, and essentially they're coming together to become this big duo, and their goal is to basically become the greatest comedians there was. That way our first protagonist is able to reach out to this girl, and our second protagonist, who has a little bit of sadder background story, he wants to reach out to heaven for one of his old friends who died, who encouraged him to be a comedian. So that's basically in a nutshell the first chapter. Like I said, it's actually good because there's drama behind it and it builds up, and it's not just comedy, even though it's about comedy. So it gives us a background story and reality check, I guess, of the lives of maybe comedians. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of comedians are emotionally depressed. Like, that's actually a fact. Look it up. A lot of comedians do become depressed eventually in their careers, and people don't really know how to connect it to what exactly it is. Some people have their ideas, obviously, but it's a true thing. And it's kind of nice to see kind of like the background stories of young comedians coming up from their background stories to where they are now, and just seeing how their lives are impacted through comedy. So I think it's a great story. I don't see it moving as fast as some people would want it, which I think why it would be in the middle, because it's not a high-paced series. But I do think it's, you know, volume-wise, it would be a great story to pick up and just start reading and see what it is about. So anyways, guys, out of 10, I'll give this one a middle ground 7 out of 10. I think it deserves it. And again, I don't think it's the worst one. I've read some Shonen Jumps lately that are like, you know, all right, but this one's a little bit better than that. It's in the middle ground, I think. For sure, check it out. At least the first 2 chapters, they're out right now, and I'm pretty sure they're free for everyone, so go check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you have not done so by now, make sure you subscribe to my channel, give a like, comment, and share. Thank you so much. Again, I do have a lot of people watching but not subscribing, so if you're watching up to this point, subscribe. Thank you for your love and support again, and like always, don't be strangers. See you guys.